Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching or joining us from across the globe. Thank you for joining. My name is Ayomide Aroshebe. Some people call me Ayo, some people call me Mide, and some people call me the combination of both, but it's still the same thing. I'm the founder of Cleaner and Healthier Nature Initiative, also called Clan Initiative, and we're a youth-led non-profit organization promoting environmental sustainability and public health across communities in Nigeria. We believe in the connection between environment and health, or environment and public health. That's why we are cleaner and healthier. So this is one of the things that we do at Clan Initiative, our monthly green webinar series. And it's a platform where we bring experts in the environmental sustainability space or public health space or climate professionals or climate advocates, and they come with different topics that are very, very important to our society, to our community, and to future generations. So this is one of those webinars, and we've been doing this since 2021, and we are very, very privileged to have another very great person as our guest speaker on this 2024 May edition. Thank you so much, Sharon, for joining us on this edition. And without much ado, I'll be reading Sharon's bio before I bring her up. So, Sharon Chiahemen is a multifaceted change maker and climate change leader with over 5 years experience in creating and implementing climate action projects. She's a team leader of Green with Green, a youth-led nonprofit dedicated to demystifying climate change through educative and entertaining social media content and engaging projects offline. She also serves as a content lead and Abuja operations manager for Waste Bazaar, a clean tech company providing hassle-free waste management solutions for urban and suburban African cities. She also served as a mentor at the 2024 Climate Education Leaders Fellowship, where for 8 weeks, she engaged with over 50 African fellows from 30 plus African countries to help them ideate and successfully execute climate projects across the continent. Through various paid and volunteer roles, Sharon Chiahemen has worked with reputable local and international organizations like the Embassy of Sweden, US Embassy, Embassy of Brazil, Federal Ministry of Environment, and climate experts in raising climate awareness and connecting people to practical solutions. She has organized and led cleanup, awareness marches, social media campaigns, and workshops, as well as creating social media content on climate change using an easy to understand teaching approach to make our thousands of followers interested in taking action. Driven by a desire to make environmental sustainability cool again, Sharon Chiahemen is open to partnering with more individuals and organizations in the space to amplify the amazing work they do. Thank you again, Sharon, for being our guest speaker on this edition of our webinar. And over to you uh, to present. Thank you. You're welcome. I'll share the screen now.
All right. I believe you can hear me. If you can hear me and you can see me, please help me drop. And you can see me, please drop a one in the start off by apologizing for the technical. All of you guys for being very patient. It's going to be a short but interesting topic. It might have been a mouthful, but it's actually a very interesting and simple topic, very easy to understand. Like Mr. Mide said, my name is Sharon Chiahemen, and this is my second time on the webinar series. So I'm super excited to be coming back again. Our first session was in 2020. That's been a long time. So I'm super excited to be back. Hello, Mr. Mide, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Mide, can you still hear me? Is closing the loop, which is harnessing the circular economy for a sustainable future. And even though it's a mouthful, I'm going to make it as simple and as easy to understand as possible. So in the next slide, I highlighted some of the questions a few people might have had immediately they saw this topic. What exactly is the loop? How is it broken? Why is it broken? And why do we need to close the loop? Okay, so in today's session, we're going to be learning what the linear economy is, the drawbacks of the linear economy. Um, and then I'm going to introduce us again to the circle of life theory or the natural loop. We're going to be looking at the key elements and players in the circular economy, a few of the drawbacks in executing the circular economy in the global south that just a few of the things we're going to on in the next couple of minutes. Now in the next slide. All right, so the linear economy is basically what we are whether it is maybe your workplace, so whatever we use, and then the linear economy is basically taken out of that drum of water every single time. All right. Okay. So basically, the linear economy is just like being selfish, or you just like the example that I gave. There's a drum of water in your house, and then you keep on taking it to cook, to take your bath, to do whatever it is, but you are not replacing the water. Probably in 2 days, 3 days, the water in there is going to be finished, and then you start looking for where to, get the water back, which is what we're doing right now to the trees, to the natural resources. So it's just like a straight line. So we take, use, dispose, take, use, dispose. And funny enough, the reality of the linear economies was what actually drew me into the climate change work. So
Mm,
I had a project I did with a friend of mine in when I was an undergraduate in uni Loring. And when we were doing the research, that's when I realized that all my life I'd always thought that, this waste that we generate, it just goes somewhere. There's a somewhere that the waste goes to. Like I never thought about it. Like, okay, this stuff I just drank and I threw it out. Like, where exactly is it ending up? Who is going to take care? I just always assumed, or should I say, I never thought. Many of us have actually never sat down to think about it. Like, where is all this waste going to? Who is taking care of it? Where is it going to? All of that stuff. So, um, during the research, so it really hits me. I was like, oh my God, like a lot of us don't even care about like the end life of the product. So after you've used it, it has left your hand. You no longer have ownership or responsibility for it, which is actually the problem of the linear economy. So we just take, make, use, dispose, and it's actually not going to it's not a sustainable model at all. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to show you why this linear economy is not sustainable. So first of all, the resources are getting depleted, whether it's trees, whether it is water, whether it is even our mineral resources. They are getting depleted because you're not thinking about how to reuse, remake them, or replenish them. All right, because we think that, I think the reality is that many people assume that all of these resources are infinite, like forever and ever and ever and ever and ever they are going to be here, which is actually not true. Let me give you just an example. I don't know how many of us know that Lake Chad, between the late 1990s till today, has shrunk by over 90%. So like a lake, like a natural body of water, not like swimming pool, like a natural body of water that we think, oh, it's natural, it's going to be there forever and ever. The lake, 90% of it just disappeared. So if a lake, a water body that is natural can disappear, then it's very possible to wake up, our forests are gone. That's why many animals keep on going extinct, because we don't think about ownership or trying to you know to keep all of these resources for the next generation. Now, waste management issue is actually one of the biggest drawbacks of the linear economy. I was trying to look for a video I could add to the slide, but I didn't get anyone that I felt was going to pass the message across. I was trying to get a video to show like how much waste is generated. So, how much waste is generated globally? Like when you see some videos of landfills, some landfills have been there for over 30 years, over 50 years, they are not reducing in size. Instead, they are increasing in size. Why? Because the waste that is generated on a daily basis around the world is crazy. Like if you actually sit and think about it, let's just break it down. For someone, it might just be, oh, I don't even have a factory, I don't manufacture, I don't create waste. But in your normal day-to-day activity, from your bottled water to what you use in cooking, to your toiletries, to all of that, from one household alone, it will be crazy if you actually sit down and calculate the quantity of waste that is generated from one household. Now the problem is that when this waste is generated, where is it going to? Most times it's going to landfills, going to be burned and then releasing all of those gas emissions. Now, for me, another thing I checked was that the linear economy is actually is a case of penny wise, pound foolish. Let me give you an example. Here in Nigeria, I don't know if it's globally. When we want to take carbonated drinks, so we have the plastic, you have the can, then you have the glass bottle. I know some people say the glass bottle tastes it tastes better than the other one, but it's not really about it. But think about it. I just realized that the crates of um glass Coke that we've had in my family has been here since I was a child. Like I remember my parents getting that crate since I was a child, and it has been here now for over 20 something years. It's still here. So it means that every time we have visitors, we have an event, or just for the house, my parents want to stock up. All we need to do is to go and exchange the bottles, and they're actually cheaper. Now, currently, a glass bottle of Coke is about 250, 300 naira, depending on where you are in Nigeria. Now, when you want to buy the PET bottles, like the single use ones, it can go anywhere between 350, 400, 450, and in some places 5 to 700 naira. So financially already, that like sticking to single use is penny wise pound. You may think, oh, let me just buy it and use it, and I don't need to keep the bottle and all of that. But when you calculate the number of bottles, sometimes some people drink 2 bottles in a day, 3 bottles in a day. How about water? We have water dispenser in my house, and buying a water dispenser that's like the full bottle costs less than getting two bags of sachet water, that's pure water, which is even more expensive. So the linear economy itself is even expensive, just that a lot of people don't realize how expensive it is in the long run. And then of course the biggest drawback of all is climate and health crisis. Like I said, when you go to landfills, you see all of the waste that is being burnt, or just it's just lying there for 30 years, releasing methane and all of the greenhouse gases. There's most of our climate problems and environmental problems today is because we're operating the linear economy, because there's so much waste, there's so much, being disposed in every sector is causing a lot of crisis. Now, in the next slide, I started by introducing us to the circle of life theory, or the natural loop theory, which is what the circular economy closely mimics. So the circle of life, for those of us who have watched The Lion King and the rest, of course, we are familiar with the circle of life, which is actually, yes, I think the circle of life there applies to what I'm trying to say. So in the circle of life, it means that every living thing is part of a circle. Plants and animals are born, they grow, they produce, they eventually die, making way for new life in their place. Now, without this circle of life, ecosystems and the biosphere would not be able to survive. Let me break it down. Let me not make it too complicated. For instance, um, let's say an animal like let's say a rat, let me use a rat, or maybe even a dog or something, feeds while it's alive, feeds on plants, other animals and the rest, and then it dies. its dead body becomes manure for the plants. Now, those plants, as they are growing, they are giving fruits to humans and to other animals. One day, those plants or those trees are also going to die. They are going to go back into the ground, make way for another plant to grow, feed another set of animals. Those ones will die, feed the plants will feed another set of animals, die. So it's like, basically, if you look around us in nature, if you actually take your time and look around in nature, nature exists in a circle. Nature is not linear. Nature exists in a circle, and everything like works together. There's almost no waste in nature. Nature almost has no waste because everything is used for something else. Even a human being or an animal that dies is going to become manure for other plants or animals, and then it continues like that, like that, like that, like that. That's the natural order of things. That's why in nature there's hardly any waste. Even if you go to the forest and you see all the plants, their leaves are falling, those leaves are falling and actually not waste. They are falling, but they are falling to become food for other trees to actually grow. So that's the most natural way I can explain the circular economy. And that's what the circular economy is modeled upon. So in the next slide, I introduce the circular economy properly. Now, I define the circular economy as an industrial system that is restorative and regenerative by intention and by design. Now, this definition is very, very important because I'm going to explain something in the next probably 2 or 3 slides. Restorative and regenerative, like the natural cycle that I just explained, by intention and by design. Now, it replaces the end of life concept, meaning that it's not just make, use, toss, make, use, toss. No, what happens after you've used the product? The product has reached its end of life. What happens after that? Now, because of the circular economy, renewable energy is used. It eliminates the use of toxic chemicals, and it aims for elimination of waste through superior design of materials, products, and systems. Now, pay attention to this line. The circular economy aims to eliminate waste by superior design of materials, products, systems within the business model. Now, what do I mean by elimination of waste through superior design? Because the circular economy is something that I call the shared economy. I think I wrote that in 2 others, like the shared economy. I feel like sometimes when in this climate change space, or people want to become more sustainable, they want to practice being green more, they start from the wrong place. So they're like, oh, I want to be green by recycling as much plastic as I can. And that's not actually where the major problem is. The problem itself is inherently a design problem. It's basically a design problem. Like if most of these items were designed to not be single use, they're designed to be durable, they were designed to be used for a longer period of time, the recycling will not even be part of the equation of the the life cycle of the product. But because the design already, they are designing it from the start to be just to be used and tossed out after one use. So no matter how much you recycle whatever, you can never close the loop. That's why for many of us that don't know, I think I saw somewhere that all the plastic that has ever been produced, only about 9% of it has ever been recycled. So when we talk about the circular economy, we talk about going green and all of that, the first thing a lot of people try to think about is recycling. Yes, recycling is one of the 9 R's like I'm going to explain, but it's not the most sustainable R, and it should not be the first solution. In fact, it's not even the best solution because that's just like one of the R. A lot of processes should have happened before we get to the point of recycling. So it starts from designing the materials, designing the product, and the systems. Now, in the next slide, I also stated that the circular economy model aims to decrease waste to a minimum. So when you hear zero waste does not mean that you will not generate any amount of waste or whatever. Even in nature, there might be a few cases of waste here and there, but the goal of the circular economy and all the work that we do in the climate change space is to reduce waste to the barest minimum. And to be honest, if we had been practicing reducing waste to the barest minimum for generations, the climate situation today would have not been as bad as it is. It would have not been as bad as it is if like this has been at the forefront of manufacturers and all of that stuff. Now it is designed regeneratively and aims to eliminate waste. So like you can see in the diagram, the circular economy starts with reusing, recycling, production, distribution. So it goes round and round. Every stage feeds the next stage. So the production affects the distribution affects the consumption affects the reusing affects the recycling, back and forth, back and forth. That's the way the circular economy is designed to operate. And to be honest, when I said closing the loop, it's because the loop is broken. If you're operating a linear system, it means you've already broken the loop. And why exactly is the loop broken? In the next slide, you're going to see the image that I put there. Now, the loop or the natural cycle of life became broken when man went from being part of the flow or the caretaker to being the center of all existence. So when you think that life revolves around you, or you're the most important creation in the ecosystem, you always focus on what works best for you at that moment. I think that's one of the failures of man. We stand as the most intelligent species and whatever, all you're thinking about is yourself. So for instance, you go to the beach, you eat all the things you've eaten, you do whatever it is, and then you dump everything on the beach because you are not thinking beyond yourself, or you don't live on the beach, so you dropping single-use plastic and wasted food and the rest is not going to affect you because you don't live there. It's not your house. But you forget that you are not the only person that exists in the ecosystem. Every single plant, no matter how small, every single microorganism, every single plant, the flora, the fauna, every single creature or living thing that exists is the reason why there's a balance in the ecosystem, the reason why the earth exists. So for instance, if all the creatures in all the marine animals, all the fishes and the rest, they went extinct, you may think that they are not important now until they go extinct and you realize that they were playing an important role in the ecosystem. Or imagine all the birds or all of the bees. Let me use the bees. Oh, to you, bees are just those animals that fly around and they sting you and you can blow up, right? But if all the bees were to go extinct, there'll basically be no food on this planet in little or no time, because they're the ones that pollinate the food. They may be small, but they are very important. So what am I trying to say? When we rethink our choices and we realize that, I- as man, I'm not just the only person that exists on this planet, and I'm not the most important creature. Every other creature is important, and we all play an important role. You'll be more sensitive in your choices. So like the example I was giving, you go to the beach, you enjoy a fun day at the beach, you eat, you drop all your single-use plastic. That's not your house. Because if it was your house and somebody came to your house for a party and dropped all the plastic bottles and everything in your sitting room, your living room, on the dining, how would you feel? Like imagine if someone came to your house for a picnic, maybe in your backyard, or even your friends came over for a nice dinner, a nice lunch or whatever, and they came to your house after eating on the dining table. Everybody just dumps their bones, dumps everything and leaves. Let me even know if you guys are even following me, like so that we can actually understand what this thing means. Now, as a human being, somebody comes to your house, right? Somebody comes to your house, eats food, plays, they party, they do whatever it is that they want, and then they leave everything, all the biscuit wrappers, everything, and they just go. You'll be, in fact, you will not even allow, you won't allow them go. You'll be furious. You find a way to clean up all the mess. But the reason we can go to the beach, go to public parks, and do all of that is because you are thinking you are the only living thing or the important living thing on this planet. You forget that that beach you went to is home to other animals. So you go there, you went to their house in quotes. I don't know if you have seen the relationship. Now you go to their house, you ate, you partied, you drum, and then you left. Because you're not sleeping there, you're not living there. So you just assume, well, somebody will clean it up, which is the problem where somebody will do it, somebody else will do it, and then you leave. And then the waves will come and wash all your waste and then back into the ocean. Then all these turtles and the fishes, they are not swallowing them, they are having complications, they are having issues, many of them are losing their lives. That is basically where this whole loop got broken, where we put ourselves on the top. We're thinking of only ourselves. You just go to the forest, cut down as many trees as you want. You don't even, somebody planted it. That's why you could be able to go to the forest and cut it down. But you're thinking of only yourself. You're not thinking about the next generation. You're not thinking about the other animals and organisms that exist in this place. So if we take ourselves out of the center and realize that we are one with everything, this ecosystem, the only reason why this ecosystem exists is that we are all living together in harmony. Every single animal has an important role to play. We will be able to come back to, you know, the circular economy. Now, in the next slide, I also touched on the key elements of the circular economy, which are the three R's. So the major, the whole idea of the circular economy is just from extraction slash production to, to logistics, to production, to end of life, which is the recycling, the reusing, all of those things, and then putting it back into production like that. But we can break it down into 9 R's. So there are 9 key elements of the circular economy. In the next slide, we'll touch on it very briefly since we don't have all of that time. Now, basically, the circular economy just means that there should be smarter product use and manufacturing. Starting for circular economy starts from the production process. From the production, is it already sustainable? Is it already smart? Are we using better products? Are we using more durable products? And then these products will in turn affect the lifespan of the product. So, for instance, many of us, because I'm seeing that there are a lot of Nigerians, and many of us, that's the reason why at the beginning I said African mothers have been practicing circular economy before anybody knew what circular economy is. Many of us, there's this trauma that we grew up in. And many of us know that Danish cookies bowl. In a Nigerian household, if you open that and you see cookies, something is wrong somewhere. Something is wrong. When you open that, you're supposed to see your mother's sewing kit or something. You go to the fridge in your house, you open the ice cream container, you see a goosey soup inside or stew. And funny enough, this is maybe funny, but this is the circular economy we are talking about. African mothers have been unintentionally practicing the R's before they even knew that they were fighting. So, as far as I'm concerned, African mothers, indigenous people, are actually the real climate heroes because we've been doing all these things. Many of us know that there are some clothes that your parents can show you the clothes that you wore when you came out from the hospital as a child. They can show you the bathtub they used for you, or even the flax they used to use to boil hot water for you as a child. They don't throw things away, and they will repair something over and over and over and over. Some of us have had the same fan, the same fridge since we're children. Why? Because when there's a problem, African parents will not toss it out and go and buy a new one. They'll find a way to repair it, fix it until the device will say, please let me go, let me go. So basically, yeah, um, that's many of us don't even know we're already practicing this. There are many of us that we call ourselves hoarders. We hardly throw things away. You're not a hoarder, you're a sustainable hero. You don't like throwing things away. And I'll also give it to the manufacturers. Another reason why it was easier for our parent generation to practice secularity is because I'm not trying to shift the blame, but I think another thing that made it easier for them is the quality of the products that they had, because the circular economy starts from production. So, for instance, you see, how many of us know Philips iron? That iron, there's an iron in my house that's been there since 2009. The iron has not had one issue. So there's no problem. There's no need for my parents to buy a new one or so. Many of the items our parents had, they were stronger, they were more durable. The manufacturers were intentional about the design. They created the design in such a way that you could use these things for years and years and years and years and years. And if they had an issue, a wear or a tear, you could just repair them here and there, and then you continue, right? But these days it seems that for reasons just like fast fashion, people are looking for a quick buck. So starting from the manufacturing, there's already a problem. They're just looking for how they can just create something, put it out on the market, and then it doesn't last. Use it for 2 days, that's spoiled. You need to find a way to replace it and all of that. So if there's smarter products manufacturing, the lifespan of the product itself will actually extend. So you're able to use things for longer, and even you yourself, you want to toss out something that's already good, and then you create the parts in such a way that it's easy for someone to recycle. There are some things that are created now that the parts are multi. You can't even recycle them because they're like there's paper, there's different type of plastic in one product. So you can what are you recycling? Is it the paper? Is it the plastic? Is it the which of them? So back to what I was saying. This slide just shows the key elements of the circular economy, which is the 9 R's. So the circular economy increases productivity. It's even cheaper for everybody. Now, the first one, many of us know the 3 R's. The 3 R's are more popular: reduce, reuse, recycle, because that's the one that is easy for even a layman to practice. But there's a lot more than. And if you look at this at a glance, I don't know if you guys can see the screen very well. At a glance, what number is recycling? Recycling is number 8. Recycling is down there. So recycling is even, it's because the system is broken. That's why recycling is the first option. To be honest, if we follow the 9 R's, recycling is supposed to be like last option. Like, we've tried every other thing, let's just recycle. So won't be able to go deep into this. Probably Mr. Mide will also share this. Like it starts from refusing. There are a lot of things you can refuse. You go somewhere, they want to give you single use, and you already have your bag. Why not refuse the single use nylon and put the stuff inside the bag you're already carrying? Then rethink. The problem, a lot of people don't even rethink their choices. So you are rethinking, instead of doing this, let me do this. Instead of doing this, let me do this. So we don't rethink, we're just going with the flow. Oh, this is what everybody does. By the time we rethink our choices, we're making smarter choices. Then reduce. We're reducing our consumption, we're reducing the number of things we buy. Many of us, let's even start from fashion. In your wardrobe, you know that there's some things that have been there since 2005. You've not worn them, but you're not taking them out of your wardrobe to give somebody else. Instead, you're buying more clothes and adding to the one that you're not using. We should read this, and this part, right, is both for the consumer and the manufacturer, right? They have to. And another thing, this, see, everything is a loop. For fast fashion, I don't know how many of us are familiar with fast fashion. People keep on complaining about companies like Shein. Oh, Shein is a fast fashion company. They're always producing blah, blah, blah. But the problem is that is where there is supply because there is demand. Where there is supply because there is demand. If these companies don't see anybody, that maybe they produce all their fast fashion products and for 3 months it's sitting in the warehouse, nobody is buying it. They don't need any climate activists to tell them to start practicing sustainable fashion. Nobody will tell them. They will realize that people are not patronizing this their fast fashion, and they'll find a way to create more sustainable fashion. So wherever you see demand, so this reducing is both on the customer and the manufacturers. So if we reduce the amount of things we are consuming, the manufacturers will have no problem but to also reduce what they are producing, because they are producing to meet up with your demand, right? And then reusing, of course, this one, this reusing, of course, already saying African mothers are number one. They reuse and reuse and reuse the clothes that your elder brother wore. They gave it to you when you're that age, passed it down to your younger sibling. No need to buy new ones. And then repairing, of course, like I said, when it comes to devices, there can be a fan in your house that will get spoiled. Nigerian parents are not throwing it out. They will call somebody to come and repair. They will repair that one one fan for almost 3 years before they finally let it go. Then refurbishing is basically like upcycling to me. And upcycling is on the rise right now, which is I like it a lot because it makes other sectors to also get involved. So artists are getting more involved in climate change because of this refurbishing. So many of them are able to take waste, like Mrs. Jumoke Olowokere of Waste Museum. When you go to the Waste Museum, every single thing there is waste that she just gave a second chance at life. So from her jewelry to her outfit, sometimes you know the tabs when you open canned drinks, you open this and it makes that sound. She uses it to make jewelry, beautiful decorations, interior decoration, giving a second life to all of those things. Then there's remanufacture. So this one now is on the part of the manufacturers. Rethink your this thing. Instead of manufacturing this thing to be single use, can you manufacture it to be like this, like this, like this, and then repurposing, recycling? So what I wanted you guys to see is that it's beyond 3 R's, and recycling is even number 8. Meaning you're supposed to do, so these things are actually arranged in order of priority. So you're supposed to refuse, rethink, reduce, reuse, repair, refurbish, remanufacture, repurpose before you think of recycling, right? And then recovery. So in the I think that's it. You can go and read up more, just look at the diagram closer when you have that. Then who are the key players in the circular economy? The key players in the circular economy is actually everybody, because this economy, another word, another just doing Mr. Midday, some people call him Ayo, some people call him Midday, some people join together, right? Some people call circular economy the shared economy. Shared economy means that from manufacturing to end of life, all of us are involved. I think because it's a shared economy, the burden of being green, the burden of being sustainable moves from just the economy. Because right now, whenever we think about sustainability, a lot of people have moved all the burden and all the responsibility on the shoulders of we, the consumers. You're telling people, please make sure you recycle, make sure you recycle. Why are people producing so many things that need to recycle? And the funniest part is that I hope there's no company here listening to me. Let me not name names, right? So you buy something that is probably, you see a single use, very, you will not see the manufacturer now right under recycle. And I'm like, do you guys have a recycling plant? Or like, or do you have a recycling scheme? I should recycle. How are you sure that me, that is a consumer in my community, do you know if I have any recycling scheme in my community? Do you know if recycling is accessible to my community? Yeah, okay. So now many of them, they leave the burden to you. So they produce all this, and they tell you, you should be the one to recycle. Why don't we have, I'm sorry, okay, I have to call this name because okay, they are my people, I've worked with them, but we have a this thing. Now let me give you an example. The greatest plastic polluters on the planet, which is Coca-Cola company, right? Even them, they've accepted it year after year, they are there, right? And you see, the funny thing, you see recycle me on the, I'm like, Coca-Cola, why not, why can't you guys just create a recycling company and put it in your, the same way you guys have like plants, your manufacturing plants in different, just create your recycling company so that, or a system where people can bring back this stuff to you, so that the responsibility comes back to you. You should be the one to recycle. You have the money, you have the expertise, you have the machinery. Why are you telling your consumers to be the one to recycle? Where should they recycle? How should they recycle? Who should they meet to recycle? Right? So this circular economy is just trying to say all of us, we are in it together. Like, cannot just put the blame and say, oh, recycle, recycle. And then this shared economy stuff is also because there's the global north and there's the global south. So the global south is we, those of us in Nigeria, developing countries. Global north are the ones that have the money, the resources, the technology. So many of you don't know this, but most of the waste that you see in global south, like in Bali, I think Bali, Indonesia has one of the highest polluted water bodies in the world. Like, you see some videos, I think I'll share some videos with Mr. Media after this to share with a few people. Like, all their water bodies are plastic oceans. And guess what? It's not that Bali people like drinking cocoa. It's because what most of these global north countries do is that they ship those plastic waste to us. Then you not tell us to recycle. It can't work, right? So the shared economy means that all of us are going to play a part, both the manufacturers, logistic people, consumers, all of us, from consumption to return to distribution to research. Everybody works together in the circular economy. So in circular economy, the body is not on one person. So you are not telling, which is why if there's anybody here that works in the climate change space, you realize that there are some jabs that people give us, right? So we have the food that tells us that climate change is not real. We have the food that will tell you that climate change is an Oyibo thing. That's if you are an African like me, you tell you, I beg, and some people, they are just a way to make money. Then there's this very popular one that people say. People will say things like, oh, you're telling me to use reusable bottle, reusable straw, reusable this, recycle. Then the people that are on top, like people that claim to be the climate experts, they are going to now enter their plane and fly all the way to COP. Are they not emitting more emissions than me? That is like, people try to wait, like, as an individual, the small thing you're telling me to do, how does it now wait to the general stuff? So you kind of understand with people, right? This is why the circular economy is important. If everybody was playing their part, the situation would have not gotten to how bad as it is right now, right? So the circular economy basically is a shared economy. All of us are key players. Everybody, the manufacturers, the logistics, the us, every single person is a key player. So the next slide, I said the drawbacks of the circular economy in the global south. Basically, what this means is that even in my general climate work, I like to tell people that climate action is not a one size fits all blanket. What will work for Sweden will not work for the US. What will work for the US will not work for Dubai. What will work for Dubai will not work for
Nigeria. And even in Nigeria, what will work for cities like Abuja, Lagos will not work for smaller cities in the north, or all of those developed parts. So there's something that I got from the internet. I didn't write that, but I'm going to just say it out. So this I got this from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, their 2012 report. So it says circular economy in the global north is primarily focused on the environmental dimension, prioritizing reduced pressure on the earth and its resources. And it's from a technical angle. So they create all of those big recycling what do you call them? It's not firms, they call them those recycling centers. They use technology, they use all of those stuff. But here in the global south, apart from environmental problems, poverty is even a bigger problem in the global south, which is why you tell somebody, oh, somebody will tell you, I beg, I never chop finish. Sorry for those that are Nigerians, you know what I'm saying. I beg, I never chop finish. It's climate change I should come and be doing. People are focused on how to pay their children's school fees, eat food, do all of those things. And then climate change to them is not one of their, even though they are feeling the effects, they don't think it's something that is as important as filling their bellies and doing all of those things. So that's why when we are undertaking circular economy projects in Africa, we have, or in the global south generally, we have to consider the broader societal issues, from insecurity to poverty to hunger to all of those things. So what works for the other countries? So for instance, in Germany has one of the highest return policies in the world. Return meaning that, you know, the way ATMs are stationed almost everywhere. You see places in Germany where you can go and drop your plastic bottle and immediately they'll dispense money for you in equivalent to what you put in. I don't know. You can Google that. Like in Germany, they have those stands. Like you can just walk up there. Maybe you've drank 2 bottles of Coke that they just drop it back into there to give you, dispense the money equivalent to what you just dropped in. In Nigeria, in India, in Bali, we've not even taken care of healthcare and the rest. So those solutions may not work basically. And even when it comes to waste management, so the waste management sector is divided into formal and informal. Formal is the one, like in places like San Francisco, they have like very good waste management. They come in, their citizens have four colored bins everywhere. So yes, this blue one is for this green one is for composting, this one is for this. They arrange it and then they come and pack. There's like a circle. They come and take the waste away, they recycle. They know all of those stuff. And I am wondering, in Nigeria, how do you do that? Like in the rural areas and all of those places, how do you go set up all of those things? How do you do? So like basically, the drawbacks of the circular economy in the global side, that you cannot just take what the global north is doing and just apply it verbatim, like exactly here. You have to, it's different situations, different economic situations, different. There's the problem of inclusion, there's a problem of gender inequality, there's the health, basically what I'm trying to say is that when you want to create circular economy solutions, don't just go on the internet or Google, or what works in San Francisco, US may not work in Dubai, may not work in Kampala, Uganda, may not work. So every single climate solution or circular economy solution is supposed to be fit for what that particular industry or whatever is facing. Now, back to what I was saying about formal and informal sector in waste management. They have the formal sectors over there. In Nigeria, especially use Nigeria because that's where I'm from, that's the one I'm sure of. The informal sector is bigger than the formal sector in waste management. So what we call taker in Nigeria, that's the one that walk around, do their manual picking of stuff, then take it for recycling. It's bigger than, because how many, even estate, how many estates do you see people coming and say, we're coming to take your recyclables? People don't do that. It's the pantaker or informal sector people that go and, pick out all of those things by themselves. Now, these people, those pantaker people that are recycling, they are doing all of those things, they're not doing it because they care about climate change. Is for economic benefits, for poverty. And so if you want to motivate circular economy in the global south, you know the angle to come from. Those people are not recycling because they they want to save mother earth. They are recycling because of economic factors and all of that. So those are basic some of the drawbacks of circular economy, that there are more pressing issues. Even though we that are in the climate change, we know that many of these issues that we're facing, if they can solve the climate problem, many of them will be solved. But to be honest, in the global south, they have more pressing, visible, let me use visible issues. So you want to implement the circular economy model, you have to know how you can, you can weave it into the societal issues that they are facing. And lastly, simple ways to personalize the circular economy, because um this fight against climate change and closing the loop and all of those things is basically individual efforts together. So every single person is playing their part, no matter how little, and then together it now creates like a huge change or a huge difference in the world. So to me, I didn't want to write it so I should not show there, but the simplest way for you to personalize the circular economy is to be an African mother. Practice what your mother was doing when you're younger. Do it. Your clothes will spoil you, or those times they'll buy us big clothes. I don't know why you grow into it. You grow into the shoe. Maybe not that bad, but basically if you think about it, our mothers, indigenous people, because when I was doing my research, I realized that it's not just African mothers. So my friend that is Jamaican, she was like, oh, that you guys have the cookie stuff too, because she also grew up knowing that when you open the cookie jar, you are going to see your mother sewing. It's not like, oh, it's not an African thing like it. So basically with the indigenous, the global south people, we've been doing all of this stuff, but we've not just branded it as circular economy. So to me, the best way to personalize the circular economy is just act as an African mother. So you know how your mother will scream at you, I bet off that light. If there's nobody in the room, turn it off, turn off this, don't waste water, don't waste food, don't throw that. Why you throw it away? Somebody else can use it. Somebody basically that's just the best way, because this circular economy and everything that relates to climate change will make it too complicated and too big. It's something simple. It's something you're already doing. You just don't know. So just practice the 9 R's and remember that recycling is even number 8. So that's not, don't think that, oh, or you see somebody that's always taking single use, because I recycle. Recycling is supposed to be like when you don't have an option, or like, okay, you've tried reducing your single use, you not reduce, you have to use single use, okay, then recycle it. So let's practice the 9 R's. And let's for our different communities, wherever you find yourself, try to look at the unique problems to that place and see how you can now implement circular economy into your specific climate or situation, and all of that. So basically closing the loop is us making sure that we're minimizing waste, we're maximizing productivity, and making sure that even as we're meeting our own needs, we're enjoying this planet. We're going to leave it so that the next generation too can also enjoy it and will not have to move to Mars with Elon Musk. So let's all make sure that whatever it is that you do, remember that we are not the only ones on this planet. Don't go to the beach. The beach is somebody else's house. Don't go there and dump things. Remember that on this planet you are not the only living thing, you're not the most important, or you are not. Just always be conscious of your effort, knowing that it's affecting other organisms in the ecosystem and then the next generation as well. And basically just practice the 9 R's like a typical African mother. And I think by doing that individually, globally, we'll all be able to um close the loop and make circular economy the solution for a sustainable future. Thank you so much for sticking with me despite all of the technical issues and everything. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mide. I hope you learned one or two. And if you have any questions at all, I'll be more than pleased to answer them. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Mr. Mide.
Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Sharon. Like, I have my pen here, I have my notes here. I've been writing a lot of things, even in the chat box, so many things, so many new things to learn. Even the definition alone, like the intention and the design aspect of circular economy, really, really, really strikes me. Like, no, this is this is different. Thank you for taking our time to prepare. And I must also say the slides, they look very beautiful, they look great. So thank you for the content and the great content and container of today's presentation. So I know we have a few people here. So if you have any question for Sharon, you can just ask. So if you
Okay,
comment in the
I'm
chat
seeing
box.
a few comments I missed. Okay,
Okay,
I
okay,
saw a
yeah.
few comments. Okay, Miss Chukudi said, I remember my mom used to have moi moi plates and she would reuse it over time, unlike the plastic plate. Yes, yes.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think our parents have been practicing this whole circular economy sustainability stuff, and we
Right.
just thought that we don't like buying new things. And yeah, that's true. So for more place to basically everything at home was something you could always reuse. And
Mm,
then yes, climate and the circular economy is not a one size fits all. Yes, it is. Yes, thank you so much, Maureen. Yes, it's reverse vending machines. Yeah, that's the machines I was trying to talk about in
mhm.
Germany, where you can just exchange your bottles like immediately. You're getting your financial reward. Yes, reverse vending machines. Yes, thank you so much for that. Oh, thank you guys so much for all the comments. Okay, so that means you guys were okay. I can see a question by Maury. Maury said, how do businesses which are solely designed around the linear economy then make money in a circular economy? Money must be made.
Mm,
Okay, thank
mm,
you so much for that comment, which is what brings me back to what I was saying about climate solutions not being one size fits all, number one. Then
mm,
there's a comment I'm going to make now. I don't know if my fellow climate people will vex for me, but okay. So for instance, which is why okay, phasing out is it's actually good and giving traction and all of that. For instance, now like she mentioned, some businesses are already created around the linear economy. So a mama puts person that sells food for workers that are on the go, of course she's giving them what is convenient for them, what is convenient for them, what is easy, what is also affordable for her and for them, right? How then does this mama put now make money? If you now say, oh, just the way they banned styrofoam in Lagos, and well, okay, how would they now make money? Because that's basically what is designed around. Now, that's why I mentioned earlier that this circular economy thing, number one, is not a 1 day change. Number two, all sectors have to be involved, from design to the systems to manufacturing to logistics. Everybody has to be involved. And then we also have to realize that in some, which is why I kept on bringing up that global south stuff, the global south, the global south, global south. Many of these things that she mentioned, these businesses in Nigeria, like I mentioned, Mama Put is one of them. People that sell on site, people that do all of those things, for a lot of people in the global south, money is the most important because poverty is our most choking problem. And when I said drawbacks in the global south, I meant like for instance, there are a lot of the areas, a lot of countries, a lot of communities that for now a total like closing the loop totally may not be feasible for now, right? They have more pressing issues that will take importance over the secular. Like, no matter how you want to preach and say, oh, this, that, except you're giving them a replacement, right? You're giving them a replacement that is also not going to affect their pocket. So, for instance, you tell somebody to use reusable straw and not plastic straw. Maybe the reusable straw is going to cost them almost 5K to get, and they're like, why should I spend 5,000 naira on the reusable straw for a climate problem I did not start? So for me, I believe that for businesses that are solely designed around the linear, it's going to take a while. And the most important way for them to move into the circular economy is that from the very for every single business has their ecosystem, like from their manufacturing design and all of that. The solution has to transcend every single line on the what they call that the value chain, the entire value chain. You cannot just wait for the person at the end, that's the mama put, to be the one that is going to adopt the circular economy. From the manufacturing to the way the economy, the general economy of the country is set up, where for people trying to go sustainable, as if you want to cut your neck, you want to buy a reusable bottle, one small bottle, they're telling you 15,000 and 1G. 15,000 when I can just buy my normal water and just keep on using it. So for most of these businesses, to be honest, the most important thing for businesses is always going to be the money, especially in the global south, because let's be honest, it's somebody that like Nigerians, the person where their life go do go do climate change. So for me, I feel that like the entire economy, the entire ecosystem has to have like a rethink and redesign so that it flows through the value chain and then slowly, not immediately. For some countries, it may take 10 years, 15 years, the next 20 years before they're even able to achieve just like a little bit of this. So there's not one size. So I cannot just say, okay, how do businesses do this? Oh, they should stop using this. They should change from plastic spoon to bamboo spoon or whatever. It's not very feasible for a lot of. It's not very feasible. Let's just be honest. It's not very feasible. Let me just give you a short example before I summarize. I have a friend of mine that's also in the climate change space. She has a business, right? She sells clothes generally, apparels from caps to shirts to trousers and the rest. And one time somebody dragged her on Instagram. The person was like, "Oh, you're always talking about climate change. Meanwhile, you're delivering your stuff in plastic bags." And she was like, yes, she understands, but I've been with her a few times when she has delivered something, when she tried using the paper bags and everything, whether it was journals, books, or the clothes, and then something spilled or they got torn in transit or something happened, and then she had to spend extra money than it would have taken her if she had just used the normal plastic stuff, right? So somebody like that, of course, she's passionate about climate change. She's in the climate change space. But for business, in fact, there was a time that she sent a package to, I think, Port Harcourt, and she wanted to be a good sustainable person, so she used sustainable packaging. She had to spend extra 50K to replace. Yes, because when something spills on those paper bags, it can soak through the paper bags. But if it spills on plastic, it's not soaking through. So imagine something spilled in transit and then it soaked through and it destroyed most of what she was sending. But she now come and tell the customer that, oh, it's because I was trying to be sustainable. No excuse. She had to use 50K to replace what was, and that's a huge cost to a young lady that is just trying to survive, right? So for most businesses, to be honest, it's going to take a long time, better policies, better design systems, better products, better everything before we're able to now turn the businesses from linear economy to say. So I don't have a specific answer to say how do these businesses, because it's different. It can be a food business, can be a delivery business like my friend's business, and every single business has their own issue and their own um there's this word I'm looking for, limitation. There's always something that will limit you from embracing the circular economy, right? So it's a phase. You like, just like telling Nigeria. This is what I was trying to, not to say, but I have to say. So I remember when people were saying, why would they host COP in a oil producing company? I'm sorry, oil producing country like Nigeria should just stop fossil fuel. Yes, we that were in the climate change, we've seen the dangers what fossil fuel, is happening in the Niger Delta. But really, when you just stop all of a sudden, most times we give solution, we tell people stop this, but we're not giving them an alternative. So what should they do instead? And the alternative should not be something that is more expensive or out of reach that people cannot reach. Okay, so like Maureen said, yes, it's a transition, right? And rethinking is very important. Incentivizing, yes, this incentivizing. This is why a lot of recycling companies these days are getting a lot of people. I have a lot of my friends that recycle now, not because all the preaching I've been preaching to them as well, but because I tell them that, oh, if you recycle with us 1 kg, you get you some. They're like, this is I'm throwing away. Even if it's data money, let me get. So many of my friends are recycling now, not because they are passionate about modern nature, but because they are getting incentives, right? And then incorporating repairs, right? The entire 9 hours. The mama put can sell 100 naira less if you bring your own flask. So that's another thing you can look at. I can look at it another, if I'm bringing my own takeaway pack or whatever pack, she will charge me 100 naira less. So people have to put all this into perspective, and then they'll be able to rethink their choice. The government policies, insurance. See, from what you've just said, I think you just summarized what I'm saying. It's a whole lot. There's a lot of things, that a lot of moving parts that need to fit together before a business can completely move from linear to circular. It's not just on the business owner. The business owner alone cannot totally move to that. So like, back to what I said, circular economy, all of us we have to work together to make sure that it's possible. Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you for that question, and thank you so much for the contribution. Totally agree, it's a transition and it's slow and steady. We'll get there. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for the very wonderful answers. Sharon, you captured almost everything. So do we have any other questions before we wrap up today? Yeah, so if there are no other questions, so it just came to my heart now, since like I think the few of us here, we are people that are very passionate about this climate change, circular economy. So if you have suggestions on how we can take this further, how we can expand this, so I'm always happy and open to collaborations, even though I'm not physically present in Nigeria now, but my heart really beats for social impact work in Nigeria. So please definitely reach out. We can talk about it. We can brainstorm. We can share ideas or rub minds together. I think even the three of us, Chukwudi is also not in Nigeria. Mori, I don't know if you're in Nigeria at the moment. So I think it's Sharon, and I don't know if Sharon is leaving very soon. If he's
Very
leaving
soon, though,
Nigeria.
with what happened today. These are some of the
Oh,
reasons why I I'm looking for you to run
interesting.
here because
Oh God. So anyway, that's it. And we're thinking of a guest for I was going to reach out to you privately before Sharon. So thinking of a guest for next month, for the month of July. So if you have anyone in your corner that you'd like to recommend, please definitely recommend them. And if Maureen wants to come again, Maureen was our guest sometime last year. So if your schedule allows you for next month, please, we would like to have you again. Thank you so much for joining, for coming, for your time, and to Sharon again for the wonderful presentation. Very, very, very wonderful, insightful. I learned so much. Yeah, I have so many things jotted down. Okay, so we'll put this out on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, and we'll make like cuts or snippets of some of the
okay.
presentations today. So yeah, so we'll share with you, we'll
All right.
tag you.
Thank you so much. Looking
So watch
forward to
out for
that.
that. All right. So thank
All
you
right.
guys. Have a
Thank you so
wonderful
much.
weekend. Yeah.
Thank
Bye
you all
bye.
so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the opportunity. Thank you for joining. All
Yeah,
right then.
sure, sure,
Bye.
sure. Bye bye. Bye.